One day, while Bhagavan was coming down the hill, Maurice came and stood in front of him, dressed in the ochre robes and beads of a Hindu monk. Maurice was rather anxious because he wanted his master to approve of what he had done. Seeing him, Bhagavan started laughing. Then Bhagavan smilingly said to his attendant, "Hey, he looks like a buffoon in a circus." Maurice understood. All his life he had been a true sannyasin from within. Consequently, his attachment to wearing ochre robes continued only for a few more years. That is what Bhagavan meant when he said sannyas is to give up attachment, because Maurice never had any kind of attachment. Even while working in the factory, Maurice led a very austere life. He refused to accept his monthly salary of 3,000 rupees, a princely sum in those days. He declined the amount, saying, "I do not want it. Give it to the workers' fund." As for sleeping, once the shops closed for the night, he slept on the porch of one of the shops. And what did this big boss, this top man working at the factory, have for lunch? While all the other workers trooped into the dining hall to eat the lunch that they had brought from home, Maurice would stand at the dining hall's entrance, clad in his ochre robes and with his begging bowl in his hands. This was in the spirit of a true sannyasin. The workers, who loved him very much, would first put something in the begging bowl before going into the dining room to eat. Not only that, Maurice stitched his own clothes. He wore only khadi pajamas and kurtas made out of cloth from the yarn that he himself had spun on the charkha, a traditional Indian spinning wheel. Even his footwear was stitched by him. He led a remarkably simple life, but he was happy and content. He didn't gloat about his way of life or relent from it. He was just tremendously happy. Maurice's association with Bhagavan remained close and regular. Just like the child questions the mother, so too Maurice posed a lot of incisive questions to Bhagavan on the practical aspects of sadhana. It was not to satisfy his intellectual curiosity that he asked them. Bhagavan would patiently answer his questions. Bhagavan said, "Frydman is asking these questions for the sake of others." Maurice used to record these exchanges and then show the record to Bhagavan and get it corrected. This was later published as Maharshi's Gospel on the occasion of Bhagavan's 60th birthday in 1939. From that year onwards, this book has been guiding true seekers. Even today, it remains an excellent guide for serious seekers. I always recommend 3 books to sincere seekers for study: The Maharshi and His Message, Words of Grace, and Maharshi's Gospel. It was during such close interaction with Bhagavan that Maurice wrote a series of moving verses. Bhagavan read them with great interest. In 2 of these verses, Maurice says, "So long I have been on this stage to please thee. My eyes are blinded by the light of thy play. My ears are deafened by the rolling thunder of thy laughter. My heart is turned to ashes by the flame of real sorrow. My Lord, to please thee I have made a fool of myself, and now I am unable to stop the agony of the play. My Lord, drag me down from this stage. Master, I have forgotten the way in and the way out." Bhagavan was happy to read through the verses. He said that this was exactly what had been written by Apaya Dikshitar, a sage who lived in the 16th century AD. His verses in Sanskrit were written on palm leaves, and many people were not aware of them. Bhagavan said that Apaya Dikshitar's verses described the situation of the court dancer performing in the presence of the king. She cannot stop dancing unless it pleases the king to tell her to stop. The dancer's limbs may ache, but she cannot stop of her own accord. She cries, "O Lord, I am weary of the many births and deaths that I have endured. One glance from you, O Lord, is sufficient to put an end to this dance of birth and death and grant me release." Bhagavan paused before saying, "Maurice Frydman belongs here. Somehow he was born abroad, but he has come here again. Otherwise, how is it possible for him to compose verses similar to Apaya Dikshitar?" Bhagavan made Maurice continue his dance by not asking him to come down. As we are going to see, he had to continue performing on the world stage because he was a karma yogi who still had a few more amazing deeds to perform. So Maurice flowed along with the state of things and continued working busily in the factory. Appa Pant, the Prince of Ond in Maharashtra, who had studied in England, was sent to the Maharaja of Mysore for training in the art of governance. In the course of his training, he was asked to visit the factory in which Maurice was the managing director. When he went to the factory, Appa Pant, himself a perceptive, calm, and collected person, couldn't help being drawn to Maurice's brilliance and dedication. Likewise, Maurice too took a great liking to Appa Pant and started guiding him spiritually. He also impressed upon the young prince the need to focus on development in the villages of his state and to take science and technology there so that life became easier and smoother for the peasants. Then Appa Pant told Maurice, "Please come to our state and stay there for at least 6 months and guide us." One fine day soon after this, the prince found Maurice in his palace. Maurice told the prince, "I have come to you. I have resigned my job in Bangalore. I would like to serve the villages of the Ond state." The poor prince, not literally, didn't know what to say. He could only say, "This state cannot afford to pay an engineer like you." Maurice, in his very characteristic manner, said, "I will sleep on the floor in that room. Just give me an Indian desk to work on. I have legs to walk, and I will take you on my walks. We will both work together in the villages of Ond. Now, if you could give me some food, I am hungry." Maurice was always telegraphic, but very, very clear.